Welcome back. I'm here today with Lily May. Lily is currently serving on the school board of the Fremont Unified School District. Lily, welcome to today's show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be your guest and to share with the public different perspectives of serving in the community.
So Lily, it's been 6 years on the school board, and give me some background. What got you into the public service by serving, and what are your goals and objectives?
Sure. I think to give a little bit of background of why I got into public service, I went to school in Philadelphia, and one of the schools I went to was Drexel University. And one of my favorite classes that really made an impact for me was called Learning by Doing. And so rather than look at business case studies or scenarios, to go out and find a problem in the community and to make a difference with it. And so I picked it wanting to build a local elementary school playground. And I talked to local legislators and different politicians and got involved with getting funding and support from businesses to make that difference. And later on, as a parent, I continued that in civic engagement with being involved with my children. I have two children in the school district. I have a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old. And so as a parent, I think a lot of times people come and complain about issues, but not so they want to get involved. And for myself, my daughter was overloaded. And for those who don't know in the audience, overloading means that when there's overcrowding at a school, sometimes children are assigned to other surrounding schools. And so when I went to the parent meetings at that time, parents would cry and complain, but not necessarily come up with a solution. So I went and pulled the board documents. I went to the meetings and was able to make a proposal to the school board at that time, and to the committee actually, and it got approved. Then it went up to the superintendent. The superintendent unanimously rejected it. And I was like, what's the next step? So I got to present to the school board. And at that time, it was something they were like, okay, it was a very interesting experience for me just as a public member. Years later, I also have been involved with reboundary issues and other things that gave me a chance to serve. And so with those opportunities and being involved with PTA, when there was an opening on the school board, I felt that I could be able to represent my community and use my business experiences and best practice knowledge to try to apply some of that to how the schools are run.
And when everything's said and done, 6 years, what do you feel your greatest accomplishment is to date, and what do you look forward to accomplishing the remaining 2 years?
So I think the greatest accomplishment is that we were able to survive the last 6 years financially. I think that when I came on board, the budget for Fremont Unified was some of the worst budget cuts since the Great Depression. And to balance the real needs and wants of the public are a challenge. And so to be fiscally responsible, to ensure that we are putting our investments the best possible methods into programs possible. An example that I'm very proud of is, for example, Durham Elementary. And when I first came on board, it was one of our lower performing elementary schools. And people said that we were going to make a move in principalship and move a principal from one elementary to the other, and I voted against it. And some people felt that, oh, you had some bias because you live in a certain district or you're Asian in heritage. But I felt very strongly that while the principal at the high-performing school could have done an excellent job, that we needed to find someone who's a good fit for the Durham Elementary. It is 40% Latino, 30% migrant families, and that we needed to find the best fit for that school too. And so fast forward 3 years, by putting the right people in there, investing in things like parenting classes and Latino and African American family nights, and providing the support that they needed, things like summer school, even when the budget times were tough, we were able to take Durham Elementary from being one of our lower performing schools to being a California Distinguished School, a California Title I school, and actually a National Blue Ribbon school too. So that personally to me is one of my greatest successes that I've seen.
I understand you're currently running for the city council seat?
Yes.
And what inspired you to go that direction?
Well, again, serving on the school board, I've had the chance to work with the city council in partnership. I've been on their budget subcommittee. I've been involved with some of the housing and development costs. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the greatest problems that Fremont has, which is an unusual problem to have, is that we actually have too many people wanting to come here. Fremont Unified, as a school district, is in the top 25 in the state of California in size. It has actually grown about 2,500 students in the last 6 years alone. So that really stretches our resources. And when I look at surrounding cities that are successful and how they've grown, and built up their cities, a lot of times they've had people come from different perspectives, and including from the school board. Fremont itself as a city traditionally has had all of our city council members come from the pathway of planning commissioner or other routes like that. And so I think that limits or doesn't provide the same diversity in the insight that I think is important for us to have a well-run city.
I'm visiting here today with Lily May. She's currently serving on the Fremont Unified District School Board and also a candidate for the City Council. Lily, I need to take a quick break.
Sure.
And, we'll be right back after these messages.
I love fishing, with my family.
I think it would be easier to use a net.
It was so much fun.
The times when we are together, it makes it all the more worth it.
Having Dad teach them how to cast a fly rod, and
as long as we're doing stuff together, we're having fun.
Some people see a father and a son fishing together, while others see a succession plan. Welcome back. I'm here today with Lily May. She's currently serving on the Fremont School Board and is also a candidate for the Fremont City Council. Lily, what areas of the city do you feel need the most attention right now?
Well, the city is in an unusual space right now. We're rapidly growing and changing and defining the vision of Fremont. Fremont is the fourth largest city in the Bay Area, and it's been doing a great job in trying to attract some new businesses. But those are some of the areas that we need to grow in terms of economic growth, in terms of getting green tech, high tech, and other companies to come here. But at the same time, when we look at growth, there's the business side, but there's also the housing side that is going on. And one of the things that we hear a lot as citizens is about smart development and balanced growth. Because with the housing and having been on the school board, I see a lot of the constraints that it also puts on the resources that are here in the public and the community. So for example, with the growth of housing coming in, we have to then address those needs in schools. And Fremont recently was able to pass some bonds and parcel taxes to address some of those growths. With the budget shortcomings that we've had to put some funding in to provide supplemental classes for our sciences and programs. And then right now with our schools, the way things are in the city that's been 50 years old, many of our schools are aging rapidly, and so to put the investment in the infrastructure. When I talk about smart development, the other thing is looking at the fact that I know the city has quotas and requirements on how many houses to build, but partnering better with the school district and with the resources to look at, well, what does that mean for the average citizen in terms of their traffic, their commute, the impact on the resources that we have for the city. And one of the things I'm very proud of in the southern end recently is that the school district, and I was part of that, was able to shepherd in a historic agreement. So welcoming businesses and developers to Fremont was great, but then I think it's a partnership where we make that investment in our community. So as part of that discussion, we had them build a new elementary school and a new park. Because I think that is a value add for them and a value add for us. It's not hard to sell a new home when you're saying you're going to be buying a house in one of the highest performing school districts in the state of California. And by the way, here's the brand new school, one of the newest schools in this district, and you're going to be part of that because we made an investment in there.
Now, the school district, was it a $650 million bond that recently passed?
Yes.
So it helped to give some horsepower to the schools to upgrade facilities. What's the fiscal condition of the city today?
The fiscal condition of the city is that my understanding is when they talk about this, they have a budget surplus and that they've been able to maintain reserves.
Really? A budget surplus?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's something they really are very proud to tout, and that they're the second best run city. But it's been interesting for me as I'm running for office, and I've been a type of person that likes to go out and talk to the people. One of the things that I've found as a platform for myself running as a school board camp member is that all the years that I've been on the board, I value the time I spend with the people and the different perspectives, because what you hear in the magazines may not be what you hear on the street. And what I'm hearing is that, while in some ways the city is very easy to do business, the average person and smaller businesses have some challenges in trying to get the permit processes through, and then also with the unfunded liabilities. That's something that recently I was recognized by some of the local publications, the newspaper. Analogy I would give is kind of like your credit card debt, and I try to put them in analogies that people could relate to. if you spend your money or you pay for a steak dinner and then you don't pay off the debt, it grows exponentially. And that's kind of where the city is at right now. They're at about $389 million in unfunded liabilities. And to recognize the fact that I'm not saying that we want to starve our children and pay off the mortgage all at once, but the city should, in prudence and with their finances, to also try to address some of the long-term liabilities.
Most of that's tied up into labor or retirement.
It's retirement and pension and other health benefits. And I think part of it is that nobody could have forecasted or anticipated the rapid amount of growth that these health insurance costs have gone up with. But the debt's there, and if you don't address it at all, it's not going to go away no matter how much you want to stick your head in the sand.
I'm visiting here today with Lily May. She's currently serving on the Fremont School Board and is also a candidate for the Fremont City Council. Lily, I need to take a quick break, and
Sure.
we'll be right back after these messages.
Thank you.
When I grow up, I want to work with very successful people.
I want to advise people so that they can pay less tax.
Hang out with my clients on the golf course.
Fishing.
And on their private yachts.
They will all be my friends too.
I want to work with the VCs who will fund the next Fortune 500 company.
When I grow up, I want to be just like my dad.
Money won't buy you happiness in life, but we can help take care of your financial affairs so you can focus on what's really important. Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Lily May. Lily is currently serving on the Fremont Unified District School Board and also is a candidate for the City Council. Lily, recently with the $650 million bond, how important that the school district passed, how important do you feel it is that money stay inside the community, using local businesses and contractors as the build-out happens?
I really find that to be important. I think that one of the things when you look at investments, we want to invest in our local economy, and supporting local businesses is a key part to that. And so when we're looking at contractors or people that are supporting us, I as a board member feel that it's great to have people who are part of our community, not just for the support aspect because they're close by in proximity, but I think that when it's someone who has a personal investment in that, it makes a difference in how you perceive and how you are involved. You can't just build something and walk away, because you actually will be walking by that, and your children and grandchildren or your own family members and neighbors will be using that facility. And so you want the best. And that's something that we also considered as an investment with our superintendent. When we hired our superintendent, we're very proud that Dr. Morris, as our superintendent, has called Fremont a home, because you don't just go home to another city and close the doors and forgot all the decisions you made. He's out there walking in the park, shopping at the supermarket, and people will stop him. And he really feels a sense of belonging to our community and an obligation to do the best.
What are some of the challenges that the Fremont Unified School District faces today?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're in a unique position where we're growing. And with the growth, we have a wealth of cultures, socioeconomic, and trying to provide all the resources that are needed for the kids to succeed. I jokingly tell people sometimes that I feel like a quarterback, in the sense that immediately I have issues that are coming to me, budget cuts, class sizes, and things that I want to look at. But then the long-term plans, and that's part of why I think that I'd be good for the City Council, is that we want to have our children be able to have the skills that they need to be successful in the future workplace. So things that are soft skills, language skills. I'm very proud to have helped ushered in a Mandarin immersion program. And recently, just last week, we had a visit from some state representatives from India, because we were the first school district in the United States to actually recognize Telugu as one of the languages. And last year, we also helped Farsi become a recognized languages. These are languages that the United States actually has targeted for trying to grow more speakers in, and that it encourages our students to be embracing their culture and heritage, which I think is what makes Fremont uniquely special in that aspect too.
What makes you so passionate about education?
Well, I think that as a parent myself, and I always tell the kids that I'm a lifelong learner, it ties to my feelings of personal heroes. I was born in Chicago and I grew up in Philadelphia, and one of my personal heroes is someone like Benjamin Franklin. I would love to be a person who could make a difference, not only in my life today, but in a longer term period. And by making impacts with children, I feel that has given me that opportunity. And then here right now in Fremont, as we're growing and changing, I think that engaging the public, making people aware of the transparency in the process, I think can change the view and the trust that people put into the government. And so having those open dialogues.
Have you noticed a change in the culture? Well, let's see, how do I ask this question? How the safety issue with their schools today? How do we keep our children safe?
Well, I think that I've been involved in a lot of different roles on school sites. I've been in the classrooms, I've been on safety patrol, and I think that there's a lot of aspects that people running the city and the schools should not operate in isolation. I view that these types of roles are kind of like a bridge. And whether you're a school board member or a city council, you really need to build that bridge and outreach to the community, whether it's culturally, to other civic organizations, to other church organizations or scouts or other organizations, to bring them in and to feel a sense of belonging. So where they don't see the school as just being a building on the corner, but they feel it as part of their lives and something that they're engaged in. I think that aspect has really made people embrace our schools and help with the safety. It's not just one person's responsibility, it's a community's responsibility to ensure the education's well kept and supported by us as a public.
Lily, and the school board recently, sometimes you get controversial issues where parents want to get involved, and one of them was a book recently.
Yes.
And I think it was finally resolved that the book was pulled, or how did that end up there?
Sure. I think one of the things that's very important for parents to be spokespersons and advocates for their children, because I feel that it's truly a partnership. The school district can come up with ideas and the state has guidances in terms of ed code, but I think for parents, they need to make sure that their voice is heard. And I, as a board member, am very supportive of the parent's voice. And that's one of the things I wanted to clarify for the public sometimes. It's not that I'm against education or sex education for the students, but I think that having the proper time frame and engagement of the parents. So in this situation, the parents were notified on the last day of school, and within 4 days, it was a parent meeting. And I don't think that, in all fairness, transparency and opportunities to look at different resources were provided to the parents. So there was
one of two.
I was one of two dissenting votes. Yes,
and you held firm, and
yes.
Ultimately,
the entire board came back in agreement and consensus in the end, and said that we agreed that it would be unusual in this situation because we were approving a college-level textbook for high school freshman students, and so at this time the status is that we've pulled the book. We're using our existing resources and some resources that are actually more current, probably online from CDC, and that we're working with the publisher to try to revisit and look at addressing standards that are books, textbook revisions that would address more appropriate focus on high school needs and their standards that were set for them.
And I think that, to me, that represents leadership also, that even though the majority was in a different way, you held your ground. And great result in the end.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
A quick question here. So when everything is said and done,
yes,
how are you going to define success in life?
Well, for me, success is not something, I think a lot of people value success in terms of material goods. And for myself personally, I value success in something that I think is making a difference in the community. It's something that I feel very fortunate that as a role model, I get to be out there with the students and with the citizens to show what civic engagement is. And I'm so proud when I look at our students who have gone on from our classes and to do so many great works. It gives me such good hopes for our future generation, because in the long run, for me, success is not just materials, it's just how you can make a difference in your community. And here in Fremont, it's somewhere that I'm so proud to call home. I've been here 20 years, and to see the growth and to have a small piece of touch in making a difference really has been a pleasure and an honor for me to have that chance to serve. I consider this being a public servant.
I've been visiting here today with Lily May. She's currently serving on the Fremont Unified School District School Board, and she's also a candidate for City Council. We'll be right back after these messages.